Shock: Whitney Bates, wife of Zach Bates, dies unexpectedly. In the quiet hills of Tennessee, where morning sunlight paints the trees in gold, the Bates family home stands like a symbol of love and togetherness. Inside that house, laughter is routine, faith is tradition, and every corner holds a memory. A sound, a smell, a smile that once made life simple and bright. Whitney Bates was the heart of that home. Her presence wasn't loud, it was gentle, kind, and full of grace. She moved through the house with a rhythm only a mother knows, the soft footsteps that meant breakfast was ready, the hum of a hymn while folding tiny clothes, the warmth of her touch when her children ran into her arms. Zach Bates often said that life didn't truly begin until Whitney came into it. To him, she was the calm after every storm, the person who made even the hardest days worth fighting through. That morning, the world looked ordinary. The children were laughing at the table, cereal spilling everywhere, and Whitney, in her light blue sweater, smiled at the chaos like it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. But behind that smile, there was something different. A quiet exhaustion. A faint shadow of pain she tried to hide. She brushed it off with her usual laughter, saying, "I'm just a little tired today." Zach noticed. He always did. But Whitney had a way of convincing him that everything was fine, that there was nothing to worry about, that life was still good. She kissed his cheek, poured his coffee, and went on with her morning like every other day. Yet somewhere deep inside, she knew something wasn't right. That evening, when the house grew quiet, Whitney sat by the window, her gaze lost in the fading sunset. The sound of her children playing outside drifted through the open glass, and a single tear slipped down her cheek. She pressed her hand to her chest, a sharp pain gone almost as soon as it came, and whispered softly, "Lord, give me strength, just enough to see them grow." She didn't want anyone to worry. Not Zach, not the kids. She just wanted to hold on to one more day, one more laugh, one more bedtime story. That night, the sky outside was clear, millions of stars shining over their little home. Inside, Zach lay beside her, half asleep, his hand resting in hers. Whitney turned to him, her voice low and warm. "You know what I'm grateful for?" she said. Zach smiled, still drowsy. "What's that?" "Every single day I get to love you." She smiled faintly, resting her head on his shoulder. Then, almost in a whisper, "A line that would stay in his heart forever," she said. "And if one day I can't be here, promise me you'll still smile for me." Zach opened his eyes, surprised. "Don't talk like that, Whit." But she only smiled, that same quiet, peaceful smile that had always held more truth than words ever could. The night fell silent. Outside, the crickets sang their endless song, and the wind brushed softly through the trees. Inside, love filled every inch of that small room. Fragile, eternal, unspoken. Whitney closed her eyes. She wasn't gone yet, but somehow the world already felt like it was holding its breath. And in that silence before the storm, a chapter of love was preparing to say goodbye. The morning started like any other, but in the quiet corners of the Bates home, a heaviness lingered, invisible yet undeniable. Whitney woke early, as she always did, her movements slower than usual. Zach noticed immediately, his heart tightening at the sight of her fragile figure moving across the sunlit kitchen. The kids ran in, full of energy and laughter. Whitney tried to smile, to laugh along with them, hiding the ache that was now impossible to ignore. Every giggle, every tiny hand held, every scraped knee patched with a kiss. It felt more precious than ever, as if she sensed that this morning might be different, somehow final. Cut to living room mid-morning. Whitney sat on the couch, clutching a warm cup of tea. Zach knelt beside her, gently brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Whit, you're pale. You don't have to hide it from me. Tell me how you're feeling." Whitney forced a smile, but her eyes betrayed her. "I'm fine, really. Just tired. That's all." She tried to stand, but a sharp pain forced her to pause. Zach grabbed her hand, steadying her, and his eyes filled with fear. "No, we're going to the hospital. Right now." Whitney shook her head weakly, trying to reassure him with a soft laugh. "It's okay. I'll be fine. I just need a moment." Zach didn't argue, not yet. He just held her hand, feeling the tremor in her grip, the fragility in the way she leaned against him. Cut to hospital emergency room, late morning. The sterile smell, the bright lights, the soft beeping of machines. None of it mattered. All Zach could see was Whitney lying on the hospital bed, Her face pale, her breath shallow. Nurses moved quickly around her, speaking in calm, urgent tones. Zach could barely hear them over the pounding of his own heart. "We're doing everything we can. It's serious." Zach nodded numbly, gripping Whitney's hand so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Whitney looked at him, her eyes still full of warmth, still trying to comfort him even in the face of fear. "It's okay. I'm still here. Just stay with me." But the world shifted. In a blur of moments the room spun and Zach felt her hand grow lighter, her eyes dim, the voice that had always been his anchor slipping away. Whitney Bates, the heart of the Bates home, the mother, the wife, the unwavering spirit, she was gone. Cut to Bates family home evening. The house was silent, almost painfully so. The children had been sent to grandparents, unable to understand why Mommy hadn't come home. Zach sat alone, staring at the empty space where Whitney's laughter should have been. Memories rushed over him, the quiet mornings, the bedtime stories, the tender kisses, the whispered prayers. Every moment he had taken for granted now weighed like stone on his chest. Tears fell freely. For the first time in years, Zach didn't try to be strong. He collapsed to the floor, gripping Whitney's sweater, holding on to the faint scent of her perfume, the warmth that was now gone forever. He whispered her name over and over, as if saying it enough could bring her back. "Whitney, please. Please don't leave me. I can't do this without you." Hours passed and the house remained quiet, filled only with Zach's grief and the ghost of her presence. The world outside moved on, but inside time had stopped. Zach sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the ceiling. He felt hollow, lost, like a part of himself had been ripped away. His phone buzzed with messages from family and friends. Words of comfort, prayers, memories shared. But none of it penetrated the fog of grief that wrapped around him. He reached for Whitney's pillow, her sweater, anything that reminded him of her. And in the darkness, he whispered a promise, not just to her memory, but to himself, to the children, to the love they had shared. "I will keep going. I will love them the way you would want me to. I will never forget you." But even as he spoke, he knew the road ahead would be long, painful, and lonely. The heartache of losing Whitney Bates was not something that could be fixed or rushed. It would shape every day, every choice, every heartbeat from now on. The night stretched on. The wind whispered outside the windows, carrying with it the memory of her laughter, her kindness, the life that had been abruptly stolen. And Zach Bates, broken yet determined, began the first step of learning to live in a world where Whitney was gone. The house was quieter than ever. Rooms that once echoed with laughter now held only the weight of absence. Every small sound reminded Zach of Whitney. The soft creak of the floorboards, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the way sunlight used to fall across the living room in the mornings. Zach moved through the home like a ghost. Each corner whispered memories of Whitney. Her sweater left draped over a chair. The children's breakfast dishes still slightly warm on the counter. Even the faint scent of her perfume lingered. A haunting reminder of a life that had been abruptly stolen. He had to be strong, for the kids, for the family, for the legacy Whitney had left behind. But strength felt impossible. Every time he tried to speak, his voice cracked. Every attempt at a smile felt hollow. And every time he looked at the empty space beside him, grief clutched his chest tighter. The children tiptoed around him, unsure how to act. The eldest child tried to hold the younger one's hands, mimicking the way Whitney would have guided them. Voice heavy, trembling. "Breakfast, let's eat, okay?" The words felt foreign to him. Cooking felt impossible without her. Even opening the pantry, choosing cereal, setting the table. Everything reminded him that Whitney was gone. He dropped the spoon, closed his eyes, and let the tears fall freely. The kids watched silently. They had never seen their father like this. They had never seen him break. And yet there was a strange comfort in the shared silence. A reminder that they were still a family, even fractured. Zach stepped outside into the crisp morning air. The sun barely broke through the trees, casting long shadows across the yard. He looked at the swing set, empty and still. Whitney had always been there, pushing the children, cheering them on, laughing with them. He sank onto a bench and let himself remember. The first time he held Whitney's hand, the night they said, "I do." The countless little moments of love that had filled their life together. And then the reality hit him, she wasn't coming back. He buried his face in his hands, unable to hold back the sobs. The world continued to move around him, but he was frozen in grief, trapped in a moment that refused to pass. The children couldn't sleep. Zach carried them one by one, whispering stories their mother used to tell. Every night was a battle against the silence she had left behind. Tearfully, "Daddy, why isn't Mommy here?" Zach's heart shattered. He forced a calmness he didn't feel, softly choking back tears. She's in a better place. She's always watching us, okay? She loves you more than anything." The children nodded, not fully understanding, but clinging to him for the comfort that Whitney had always provided. Zach tries cooking breakfast, spills everywhere. Bath time turns into chaos without Whitney's guidance. Bedtime stories are awkward and broken, words failing him. He sits in the empty kitchen at midnight, staring at Whitney's chair, longing for just one more laugh. And yet, even in the deepest sorrow, small moments of love shine through. A child hugs him unprompted. A note left by one of the kids reads, "We love you, Daddy." A memory shared aloud brings quiet laughter for the first time in days. Zach sits alone on the porch watching the sky turn orange and pink. The wind carries faint laughter, the echo of Whitney's voice in the children's play, in the house she built, in the love she left behind. He whispers a promise into the fading light. "I will do this. I will be strong. Not because I have to, but because she gave me everything. And I owe it to her, to our kids, to love them the way she would have." A tear slides down his cheek. He doesn't wipe it away. Instead, he lets the grief mingle with the love, realizing that the two can exist together. That moving forward doesn't mean forgetting, and surviving doesn't mean letting go of what she gave them. He looks at a family photo, Whitney smiling, children laughing around her. He closes his eyes, allowing himself to dream, even if it's just for a moment, of a world where she's still there. The house sleeps around him, empty but full of memories. Zach clings to the love that remains, fragile and beautiful, the only thing strong enough to carry them through the dark nights ahead. And in that quiet, broken house, a man begins the slow, painful, yet unwavering journey of learning how to live again, to be a father, a husband in memory, and a keeper of a love that will never fade. The days after Whitney's passing blurred into one another. Grief wrapped the Bates home like a heavy fog, constant, suffocating, inescapable. Yet even in the midst of sorrow, life demanded attention. Children still needed breakfast, homework had to be done, and the rhythm of the world continued relentlessly. Zach rose each morning with a weight in his chest he couldn't lift, but he rose anyway. Step by step, he began learning what it meant to be both father and mother, roles he never imagined he would fill alone. The sunlight streamed in through the windows, catching on the crumbs left from breakfast. Zach was teaching the younger children to pour cereal and butter toast without spilling. The process was messy. Flour dusted the counter, milk splashed over the bowl, but amidst the chaos, laughter bubbled up, hesitant yet real. "See, you got this, just like Mommy would do." One of the children hesitated, looking at him uncertainly. "But it's not the same without Mommy." Zach swallowed the lump in his throat, feeling the familiar ache in his chest. "I know, I miss her too. But we can remember her by doing these things together, just like she taught us." And for the first time in weeks, a small fragile warmth entered the room. Laughter returned, not as loud as before but real as the love Whitney had left behind. Zach stepped outside as the wind stirred the autumn leaves. He watched the children play. A game of tag, squeals of joy carried across the yard. Each sound was bittersweet. It reminded him of Whitney. Her voice, her hands, the way she cheered them on. He knelt to tie one child's shoe, and in that simple act realized something powerful. He could honor Whitney's memory not by retreating from life, but by embracing it. By holding her love in his heart while still moving forward. That evening, Zach gathered the family for a small prayer. Whitney had always led them, her voice steady, her faith unwavering. Zach faltered at first, unsure of the words, but then he began to speak from the heart. "Lord, give me strength to raise these children, to guide them the way Whitney would have, and to live in a way that honors her love. Help us find joy again, even when the pain feels too heavy." The children sat quietly, holding hands. Though young, they felt the power in his words, the presence of love, the bond of family, the memory of the mother they adored. A quiet peace settled over the room. Not complete healing, not yet, but a hint of hope. Zach attempts cooking dinner, this time with fewer mistakes, and the children help him eagerly. He reads bedtime stories aloud, sometimes stumbling over words, sometimes laughing at the silliness, but always persistent. The children draw pictures of Whitney, leaving them around the house, and Zach smiles through tears each time he sees them. Zach kneels in the backyard at sunset, whispering a quiet conversation to Whitney. Memories shared, love expressed, grief acknowledged. Through each small action, Zach discovers that life is not about forgetting Whitney. It's about carrying her love forward, letting it guide him, letting it teach the children resilience, faith, and devotion. Faith had always been central to the Bates family. That Sunday, Zach walked into the familiar wooden pews alone, or so it seemed. Around him were neighbors, family, friends, the children sitting beside him, holding tightly to his hands. The sermon spoke of hope, of healing, of the enduring presence of those who leave us too soon. Zach's heart ached with sorrow, but he also felt a gentle warmth, a reminder that Whitney's love had not vanished. It had only transformed, becoming a guiding light in their lives. Zach lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, exhausted but alive. The house was quiet, filled with the soft hum of life, children asleep, the wind rustling the trees outside, the faint memory of Whitney in every corner. He whispered into the darkness, a promise to himself and to her. We will live, we will love, and we will honor you in every small thing. Every laugh, every meal, every prayer. You may be gone, but your love will guide us forever. For the first time in weeks, Zach closed his eyes, not in despair, but in fragile hope. The road ahead was long, the pain still raw, but Zach had taken the first steps toward healing, embracing the love that remained, holding his family close, and slowly learning to breathe again in a world without Whitney. The seasons changed slowly, and with them, life in the Bates household began to shift. Grief still lingered, but its edges softened over time. The empty spaces that had once seemed unbearable began to fill with the laughter and love of children, the steady presence of Zach, and the quiet memories of Whitney guiding them. The kitchen smelled of fresh pancakes and brewing coffee. Zach moved confidently now, flipping pancakes with skill Whitney would have admired. The kids bustled around him, laughter filling the room, more natural than it had been in weeks. Careful, little ones. These pancakes won't survive if you're not careful. The children giggled, bumping into one another, spilling syrup, and Zach laughed too. A genuine warm sound that seemed to echo through the house, shaking off the heaviness that had weighed on them all. Zach and the children were outside, tending to the small garden Whitney had planted years before. Her flowers still bloomed, vibrant and beautiful, a living memory of her care. Remember how Mommy taught us to water these every morning? Let's make her proud. The kids nodded enthusiastically, carefully watering each plant. Zach paused to look around, feeling the weight of her absence, but also sensing her presence in the laughter of the children, in the beauty of the garden she had nurtured. For the first time, he realized that moving forward didn't mean leaving her behind. It meant carrying her love with them. In every action, every smile, every gentle word. Bedtime had become a sacred ritual. Zach read stories aloud, sometimes stumbling over words, but always finishing with a kiss on the forehead and a whisper of love. Daddy, do you think Mommy is proud of us? Zach's throat tightened. He reached out, holding the child's hand. Every single day. She's with us in everything we do. She's proud of how brave we are. How much we love each other. The child smiled, and Zach felt a warmth in his chest he hadn't known since Whitney's passing. A small but powerful reminder that life could still hold joy. Zach teaching the children to ride bikes. Laughter echoes as they wobble and fall, but he cheers them on. Family movie nights on the couch, blankets piled high, giggles filling the living room. Zach cooking dinner, a little messier than Whitney would have liked, but filled with love and laughter. Quiet moments at Whitney's favorite spots, the porch, the garden, where Zach talks to her, sharing the day's events, the children's achievements, and his own struggles. Every small victory, every shared laugh, was a thread sewing their hearts back together, one fragile stitch at a time. Faith continued to be the compass guiding the Bates family. Zach led the children through the familiar pews, holding their hands tightly. The community gathered around them, offering support, hugs, and prayers. For Zach, these moments were bittersweet. The absence of Whitney was a constant ache, yet he found solace in her teachings, her unwavering faith, and the enduring love she had instilled in their children. Thank you, for giving me the strength to keep going." He looked around the room, the children's eyes bright, full of hope, and felt a flicker of peace. Life wasn't perfect, but it was moving forward slowly, painfully, but surely. The sky was painted in shades of pink and orange, reflecting in the eyes of Zach as he watched the children play. He felt the warmth of the sun on his face, a reminder that life continues, that love endures, and that Whitney's spirit remained woven into every part of their lives. "We'll keep going, Whitney. For you. For them. For us." The wind carried his words as if answering him, whispering back through the leaves, through the laughter of the children, through the gentle glow of the setting sun. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Zach smiled freely. Not just out of obligation, but from a deep, profound place of love and hope. As the children slept peacefully, Zach sat quietly in the living room, looking at Whitney's picture on the wall. Tears came, of course. Grief never fully leaves, but they were now intermingled with gratitude, with hope, with the realization that life, though changed forever, could still hold moments of joy. He whispered into the night, "We will live. We will laugh. We will love. And every step we take, we carry you with us. Always." The house was still, full of memories, full of love, full of life. A testament to Whitney's enduring presence, and to a family learning slowly, beautifully, how to survive and thrive without her. The months passed, and the Bates home slowly transformed from a place of raw grief into a sanctuary of love, resilience, and memory. The ache of Whitney's absence remained, but it no longer defined every moment. Her spirit lingered in laughter, in daily routines, in the way her children carried pieces of her heart wherever they went. Zach stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with a quiet confidence he had never imagined possible a few months ago. The children moved around the kitchen, older helping younger, younger looking up to older, all under the watchful, gentle gaze of their father. "Careful with that syrup. We want happy faces, not sticky messes." Laughter erupted, echoing off the walls. Zach felt a familiar warmth in his chest, the first real sense of normalcy he had felt in months. Even amidst lingering sadness, he realized something profound. Life could still be beautiful. It was a sunny afternoon. Zach watched as the children played a game Whitney had invented years ago, running and cheering as if she were still there. He joined in, chasing them, laughing, occasionally catching his breath from the mix of joy and bittersweet memory. He paused by the flower garden Whitney had planted, her favorite blooms now flourishing under the care of the children. Zach knelt, running his hand over the petals, whispering softly, "Look at you, Whit. Still teaching them to bloom just like you always did." The garden, vibrant and alive, was a living memory of Whitney, a daily reminder that though she was gone, her love remained, guiding them in every small action. Bedtime had become a ritual of connection, remembrance, and healing. Zach sat on the edge of the bed, reading stories and tucking the children in. "Daddy, do you think Mommy can see us now?" Zach smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from the child's forehead. "Every day, every laugh, every hug. She's right here in our hearts." The children drifted to sleep with smiles, and Zach stayed a moment longer, looking at the ceiling, letting himself remember Whitney, her voice, her touch, her unwavering love. School achievements. Zach attends parent-teacher nights alone, proudly applauding the children as they shine, whispering to himself, "Whitney would be so proud." Birthday celebrations. He blows out candles with the children, sharing stories of Whitney's birthday traditions, keeping her memory alive in laughter and cake. Holidays. Decorating the home, placing ornaments that Whitney had cherished, Zach telling the kids stories about her favorite decorations, songs, and recipes. Zach kneeling in the garden at dusk, talking to Whitney about the day's events, their laughter, small victories, and even struggles. Each moment was a thread, sewing together a tapestry of grief and love, heartbreak and hope, sadness and joy. Faith continued to anchor the Bates family. Zach led the children through the familiar pews, surrounded by a community that had stood by them through every step of sorrow and healing. As the pastor spoke of resilience, hope, and enduring love, Zach felt Whitney's presence in the soft rustle of the wind through the stained glass, in the smile of a neighbor, in the tiny hands of his children gripping his own. He whispered a quiet prayer. "Thank you for giving me the strength to keep going. Thank you for reminding me that love never truly leaves." The family gathered on the porch, watching the sky streaked with gold, pink and orange. Zach held the youngest in his arms, while older children leaned against him, each finding comfort in the other. We carry her with us always. Every laugh, every hug, every memory. That's how she stays alive in our hearts. The children nodded, eyes shining, understanding more than words could convey. In that quiet moment, the weight of Whitney's absence was tempered by the warmth of her love, by the strength of their bond, and by the knowledge that life, though forever changed, could still be full of joy. Zach sat by the window looking at a photo of Whitney smiling, holding the children, the embodiment of a life full of love. Tears slipped down his cheeks, but they were no longer only for grief. They were tears of gratitude, of remembrance, of hope. We will live. We will laugh. We will love. And every step we take, we carry you with us. Always. The night wrapped the home in quiet, peaceful darkness. The house was alive with memories, love, and the quiet strength of a family that refused to be broken, even in the face of unimaginable loss. And in the stillness, Zach knew life could move forward, and Whitney's love would guide them every step of the way. Life in the Bates home had begun to feel like a new rhythm. A rhythm shaped by love, memory, and the unshakable presence of Whitney, even in her absence. Zach had learned to navigate grief, guiding the children with patience, tenderness, and courage. But every victory, every smile, every small moment of joy carried the bittersweet ache of her absence. The sun rose over the Tennessee hills, casting golden light across the yard. Zach stood among the children as they planted spring flowers in the garden, a tradition Whitney had loved. Remember how Mommy showed us each plant has its own way to grow? We'll care for them just like she would have. The kids laughed, kneeling in the dirt, their hands messy but their hearts full. Zach smiled softly watching them. In their laughter he felt Whitney's spirit, alive, guiding, comforting. Cooking had become a form of healing. Zach carefully followed recipes Whitney had left behind, the aroma of cinnamon and fresh bread filling the home. The children helped, sharing giggles and spills, turning the kitchen into a sanctuary of love and life. Just like Mommy taught us, love goes into every little thing we do. He realized that in these small acts, baking, gardening, laughing, Whitney's legacy lived on, shaping the family she had nurtured so lovingly. Zach attended a school recital with the children, proudly applauding their performances. Each note sung, each movement on stage, carried the memory of Whitney, her encouragement, her cheers, her unwavering belief in them. A wave of emotion washed over him. The emptiness he once felt was slowly being replaced by gratitude and purpose. Even in loss, life offered moments of triumph, of beauty, of love that refused to fade. Family game nights had become a cherished ritual. Zach, the children, and sometimes close family friends filled the room with laughter, playful teasing, and the comforting rhythm of togetherness. He looked around, feeling a quiet pride. The home was alive, filled with joy and memories. Whitney's presence lingered in every corner. The soft glow of the lamp she had chosen, the framed family photos, the little traditions she had started. Sad face. Every smile you share, every laugh, every hug. That's how Mommy's love stays with us. The children nodded, eyes shining, understanding more than words could say. Zach coaching the children's sports teams, encouraging them with patience and love. Weekend family hikes, laughing and pointing out wildflowers Whitney had once loved. Baking sessions with the kids, their hands sticky with chocolate and flour, but hearts full. Quiet moments at Whitney's favorite spots, the porch, the garden, where Zach talks to her, recounting daily joys and challenges. Every milestone, every moment of laughter, every small victory became a living tribute to Whitney. Her love continued to guide them, shaping the family's resilience and unity. As the sun dipped below the hills, painting the sky in warm hues of orange and pink, Zach watched the children play in the yard. He felt a profound sense of peace. Not the absence of grief, but a balance between sorrow and joy, between memory and life. He knelt beside the youngest child, brushing a strand of hair from their forehead. We carry her with us in everything we do. Her love is our guide, our strength, our light. The children smiled, leaning into him, feeling the comfort of family, love, and the invisible presence of Whitney watching over them. Zach sat quietly, staring at a photo of Whitney holding the children, her smile radiant, her eyes full of love. Tears came as they always did, but they were different now. A mixture of grief and gratitude, sadness and hope. We will live. We will laugh. We will love. And we will carry you in every heartbeat, every step, every day. Always. The house was quiet, yet alive with memories, love, and the gentle rhythm of life slowly mending. In the darkness, Zach felt a sense of purpose. A promise that Whitney's love would continue to shape and guide them, now and forever. Life was far from perfect. Grief never truly disappears. But in the laughter of the children, in the beauty of small victories, in the love that remained, Zach and the Bates family began to understand something profound. Even in the shadow of loss, life can still be beautiful, meaningful, and full of joy.